Hey coaches, I wanted to start a series on progressing small-sided games so that we can start to use one small-sided game across all age groups. I think there's a lot of benefits to that. One is just in terms of planning. We can use an activity that players have seen before over the years. It doesn't take long to get into. It doesn't take long to explain. Players know how to do it, and we're not wasting a whole lot of time talking and standing around. So we're going to take a very, very simple introductory game here, 1v1 game played to the targets, where we're going to score by players just passing the ball into a target. And we're going to look at 4 ways to progress that based on a player's age, ability, experience, all those kind of things, right? And we're going to focus on what you see there. Can they receive in turn? If not, can they play backwards, right? So what you see in this first progression, and the field will stay the same throughout all of our slides here, is 1v1 in the middle. You have end zones where the targets are, and you have 2 players with 2 balls. So in this one, it's not as much of a game as it is a drill, which we don't love, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the idea here for a younger player, a brand new player, players that are struggling with this activity of being able to receive and open and face forward, it's a way to get some touches on the ball, go through the important cues, work on the movements and the body control and all that kind of stuff without having to worry about being tackled or losing the ball. This is not a progression, a phase of play that we want to spend a lot of time in, but it is a way to take 5 to 10 minutes of a practice, be moving in an activity, and get those touches where we can just focus solely on those things. So you can see some pros and cons on the side there, which we've kind of gone through already. And again, this phase is not something you're going to start in with U16 players who have been through this a lot. This might be a phase you can skip, but for the U8, U9 player, U10, you might spend 10 minutes in here. For the U11, U12, U13, you might spend 5 minutes in here, and work in some dynamic movements, in between the activities. So just to kind of take a look at what it is, right? A ball comes in, receive across your body, play it into the next target, move into some new space, ball comes in, open up, receive across your body, play it into the next target, right? So you can do this in, you can go through 1 or 2 rotations for each person, switch the targets, switch the sides you're starting on, so they're practicing to do this with both feet, right? Pretty simple activity. Again, younger players might stay in it for a little bit longer. Older players, you might be able to skip it right away. So that's progression 1, unopposed. And then we can move into a lightly opposed one. So in this activity, you're going to stay on your side of the grid. That's why we kind of have a halfway line there. And the only thing the defender can do is try and screen the target. All right, so they can't cross the midfield line to try and tackle or intercept the ball. So now we're building up. We're making it slightly more game-like, right? There's a opponent. You're trying to score. So now the game is directional, and there's a way to win. There is decision to make, and we'll go through a few of those there. So can they receive and turn and face forward and play in the target? Can they receive, face forward, and maybe take a touch to the side to create a passing angle and then play into the target? And if they can't, maybe they're just passing backwards and moving into a new space again. All right. So this is just a normal game. Again, pass comes in. The defender tries to come over to screen it. The target moves into a better passing angle, and they're still able to hit it. Right. Another example. Pass comes in. Defender steps up now and is really doing a good job of screening it. Now maybe the person on the ball takes a dribbling touch across, the target moves into a better passing angle, and now we do that, right? So these are all player-centric things. That's what we want. We want players to make decisions. They couldn't play it forward, so they took another touch and played it back across, right? And then we've got one here, moved on to the other side. Oh, the defender is doing a very good job of screening now still. All right, so maybe we pass it back and immediately move into new space. Right, so again, something I don't love, but playing with maybe a 3-touch restriction here so that the player obviously is not spending all day dribbling across the field trying to create up a passing lane. We want this to be done quickly. If you can play it forward into the target right away, great. If you can create a passing angle, great. If you can't, though, let's play it back and move into new space, right? So again, maybe this is where you start with older players. U12, U13, U14, you can start in here because they're still free to work on the technical aspects of the game without being tackled, without losing it. You don't start here with the older players again. We'll move on to the next one. But the younger players is a great progression up. They had no defenders, and now they've got a defender who's just kind of screening. How do they deal with that? Okay, last one. Not the last one, second to last one. Much more of a free-flowing game. The biggest difference is the defenders can now cross that halfway line. They're going to start separated just to give a little advantage to the attacking player. But as soon as the ball's in play, it's a regular game. The ball goes out of bounds. Start it with a kick into the target, or start it back from the target, however you want. Because it's a regular game here, I probably wouldn't play with a touch restriction, because now if a player is taking too many touches, the defender should be able to penalize that, right? They should be able to step in and tackle or poke it away. So hopefully the game is teaching them to play faster, and that's something as coaches we can encourage, right? So again, someone checked away now to receive across their body, trying to play in, all right? Play it back across the field, try and create that passing lane. Couldn't do it. Pass it, move in a new space, right? Regular, fully fledged game here. And again, if the defender wins the ball, they're playing right into their target. It's completely live. You steal the ball, do whatever you need to do. It's your ball. Regular 1v1 type game here, right? Maybe this is where you start with those older, more advanced players. Or maybe you started previously for maybe just 5 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes. Everyone took around about 1 minute in there. They get the idea of the game, and then you progress up to this, right? So as a coach, you're in charge of where you're going to start in these progressions and how long you're going to stay in each one of them. All right, and then the last one is just a regular game. No restrictions. We took away that midfield line in here, right? You've got a situation now where someone's going to be able to start in your back. You're going to have to try to find a way to get forward without turning right into defenders, right? So play the ball. You can't turn. You play it right back, moving into new space. Now that pass gets out there. Right, fully fledged game now. And now this ball would come right back into the red player, and the red player is trying to play into their red target. Right away. No changes, no delays. It becomes a very quick, fast-paced game. And for the older players, maybe this is where you're spending most of your time. For the younger players, maybe the first time through, this is where you're spending the least amount of your time. But they need to be able to, everyone needs to spend time in this. And then maybe for those younger players, the next few times you go through it, you're spending more and more time in here, because we need to be able to see them making their decisions in the run of play, right? It's one thing for them to be able to turn and open up and play forward when there's no pressure and we're telling them exactly how to do it all the time. And it's a whole other thing when they have to read the field, read the space, read the defender, see their target, take a touch, all of that. That's when we really start separating out skills from technique, right? And we have to be able to get to this point in really order to be able to build a skill, which is why we want to spend the most amount of time in this stage, depending on everyone's development, right? And so this part of the game has all 4 moments, right? There's attacking, there's defending, there's counter, or there's transition from attack to defense and defense to attack, and they have to make a decision, right? So there's tactics, they've got to implement their techniques and their skills, they've got to be able to execute. There's competition, so there's a psychosocial aspect there, and there's obviously a heightened physical aspect of the running and the quickness in order to try and open up, right? So those are all 4 of the progressions that we have, from unopposed to lightly opposed to almost fully opposed, and then fully opposed regular game. All right. So just a few kind of common mistakes you might see. Somebody starting too close, somebody starting too far away, right? These are kind of general issues that we have. A lot of younger players are going to be very ball centric. They want to start right on top of the ball. They think they need to come closer, where really all they're doing is clogging the space and bringing in defenders, right? So we're trying to find a way for them to be kind of in the most space. And for this game, it's probably central, so that they can turn right or left if needed. They can turn right or left forward. They can check back into space, however needed at that point, to be able to play. All right, and then for the last one we're looking here is common issues with trying to get separation, right? A lot of players will run in one direction at one speed, and it just becomes very easy for a defender to follow them around, right? They're not getting away from anybody, they're not getting any kind of separation. All right, so what we want players to be able to do in this is kind of think about counter movements. Can we check away to come back? I want to eventually receive this ball moving to my right, so I'm going to go left first to get the defender moving away, and you're creating space from where you left, right? So we're kind of seeing here a check away, bring that defender with you, and then trying to check back at an increased speed away to be able to play in. All right, so like I said, we'll continue. This is just one game. We'll continue this progression idea series, maybe with a few different slides and a few different games going forward. But we talk a lot about progressing, using progressions within these small-sided games, right, and changing the challenge level and all those kind of things. So I wanted to be able to see it in a little bit more movement and talking through it instead of just kind of writing it out in a training session. So hope you enjoy. We'll love to see you implementing these on the training field soon. Thanks as always.